Good day again. So let's continue from where we left off. This is a continuation from the previous video. So there's part 1 of this video, quadratic equation part 1. So before you continue with this one, make sure you watch the first part first, because we're continuing from where we left off. We got cut on the previous video. It was somehow interrupted. So I'm just gonna rewrite this to start on a fresh page. X squared plus bx x plus b over 2a squared is equals to, now if I remove this into the bracket, it's gonna be something like this, exponents. So we have something like that there, and then we proceed from here. Let me just remove this. We can take it from here, starting a new chapter, since it's a different video. So before I go on, let me just simplify this part here. So exponents, I'm just gonna multiply this into this. I'm gonna look for a video where we talk about exponents, because there's no time now to explain exponents. So simplifying this thing, we have that this is equals to this was supposed to be a. I just picked that up now. You see. So now I have this. Here is where the punchline of completing a square comes in. Listen very carefully. This is where we're actually completing the square. I don't know if before I proceed I should simplify this one further. Yes, let me do that. Let me simplify this one further. Here, taking the lowest common denominator, which is 4a squared, this into this goes once, 1 multiplied by that, we have b squared minus this into this goes 4a, because it's 4a squared, it goes 4a multiplied by c, it's gonna be 4ac. It's equals to, and let me just bring down this part. We are about to get to the punchline of completing a square. Now, when we say we're completing the square, this is what we mean. Just follow this one. We're just going to take it as it is. It's b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared, the way it is. Right? So here, completing a square, this is what we do. Since this thing is a quadratic equation, look, it's of this form. It's a quadratic equation because we said a quadratic equation is ax squared. Let me use a different pen there. We said a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So if you check very well here, ax squared, the number attached to x squared, is here it's 1. We have an invisible 1. Remember, we have an invisible 1 here. So the number attached to a, this is it. And the number attached to x is b. Here in this case, our b here is the entire this part. And then we have c. Our c here is going to be the square root of, the b over 2a squared, like that. So when we say we're completing a square, this is what we do. From this part, we take the square the way it is, but then we don't score it anymore. We drop it here on the first value. But then now it becomes just x, no more x squared, because the square now it's here, remember? So this square now it's here, and this square now it's here. So just apply that kind of framework for now. We're completing a square. Then next, after dropping this, we take the sign of b. We take the sign of the number attached to x. So we take the sign, which is this sign. We drop it here. And then we have plus. And the next step, we take what is inside these brackets here. You see what is inside this brackets here. We take what is inside only. We leave the square, because the square is then this one. So we drop this one here, and then we have b over 2a. So that's completing a square. So we've moved it from here to here. And if you check this one, we took it as x because the square is represented here. And also this part here, we took what is inside only when we neglected the square part, because it's represented here. So just to make it easier, this square is the same as this one, as much as this square is the same as this one. I don't want to complicate things. Let me just get a new paper again. But now you get where we are. Now we are here. Let me rewrite this one proper without the complication. So now we have completed our square. X plus b over 2a squared is equals to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. So the next thing we have to solve for x here. We have to solve for x, because at the end of the day, we already completed the square matter. We need to find the value of x. Remember, everything a, b, c, they are constant, like we've said on our first video, that from this equation, a, b, and c are always our constant, so they represent numbers. A, b, and c could be any other number, but then here the main factor is x. That's what we want to solve. So even here we want to solve x. So solving x here, this is how we're going to go about. We're going to then say, okay, we have x plus b over 2a squared is equals to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. To remove the squared, we can just put the square root both sides. What you do on the left hand side, you also do on the right hand side. I know everyone, they always wait for that part. That's what everyone knows in mathematics. Well, so it seems. So from here, the square root of this, it means it's going to remove the square, and then we're just going to have what is inside the way it is. If you want to understand exponents, there's going to be a chapter where we're going to be talking about exponents only. So that one, the top part is going to be, because the top part we can't really simplify it. It's going to remain the way it is. All over the bottom part, the square root of 4a squared is 2a. Because the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is a. Like I say, if you want to understand exponents, look for a video where the simplified, we are talking about exponents. And please don't forget to subscribe and like our videos, because it takes so much effort to make such videos. So to be motivated, just follow the group, just subscribe and hit the notification button, so in future when we make more videos you will be notified. Great. For sure, now if you are familiar with this, you're starting to see where this is going. So now if I want to solve for x, everything I must rearrange the numbers to the right, meaning on the left hand side I only want to have the variable that I'm solving, which is x. If I take this to the other side, it is a plus here, so it changes the sign, it becomes a minus. Then I have minus b over 2a, plus or minus this part here, because we couldn't simplify it. B squared minus 4 over ac all over 2a. If we simplify this further, we have x is equals to minus b over 2a Alright, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me take it from here, and I solve this using the lowest common denominator rules, so it can make sense how we came about x is equals to the lowest common denominator here. It's 2a, so it's 2a. This divided by this is 1. 1 times that is minus b. We're left with this term here. 2 divided by 2a is 1. 1 times the entire thing there. It's plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. And then we then say this is our quadratic formula. This is our quadratic formula. So this is how it comes about, our quadratic formula, when we complete a square. So this is the formula we're going to use to solve our proposed question. Let's go back to the slide of the questions we're trying to solve. Let me put the slide there. From our known equation, the way it is a plus bx plus c, you just have to get the value of c, the value of a, and the value of b, which you're going to get from your equations, and then you substitute those values into this thing, and then we're going to use a calculator to solve the entire thing. But also we're going to learn how to simplify our quadratic equation. So let me get a calculator, and then we'll go to our first question. This is just a basic calculator which I would recommend anyone must have in order to solve this, because we'll be able to see that. So this one it can be recommended. Like let's go with an example first before we start solving. So suppose we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 7 is equals to 0. Or even if it doesn't equate to anything, but then we have that, so we can relate a I'm sorry about that. Let me just repeat what I said. A would be 3. Here, A is equals to 3. B will be 2. B is equals to 2. And C will be 7. So B will be 2 and C will be 7. Therefore, you're going to take these values, you substitute there, and then you solve using a calculator. After you solve using a calculator, and then you get your value for X. Now let's go straight to our question, because I don't want to waste time with examples while we have our own exercise to do. So we're gonna use them as we go along, because I don't know if I should leave this here to help us choose for our map, for going back to refer to A, B, and C, because I don't know the level of understanding of my audience, but we're going to learn each other as we go, because this is just the beginning phase of a lot of mathematics to be done. So the first question, it goes like x minus 4x squared minus 9 is equals to 0. Here, if I simplify this is the same as x minus 4 into x minus 4 minus 9 is 0. This is what this means. The squared, it means it's double, like that. Like I said, if you want to go to understand exponents, go to a chapter where we'll talk about exponents. So here, to get the values, I must multiply this by this, and I multiply this by this, and then again I will come and multiply this by this, and then I multiply by this by this. That's the simplification. So let's go. X times x is x squared. X times minus 4, it's minus 4x. We're done with this two. Now we're coming to the bottom one. Minus 4 times x is minus 4x. Minus 4 times minus 4, it's positive 16, because negative times negative is a positive. So minus 4 times minus 4, it's plus 16. Minus 9, that one that we still had there, is equals to 0. So you can see it's building up. It has ax squared, but then we can still simplify it further, because you can see we're getting somewhere. So now we have x squared. Now these two terms are the same, and if the signs are the same, we add and we take the very same sign. There's a video again that talk about signs, the basic mathematics part. So here the terms are the same, we're going to add the terms. So if we add minus 4 minus 4, minus 4 minus 4 is going to give us minus 8, because we add and we take that sign, minus 8x, plus 16 minus 9. You have two options. Like if you feel you are writing an exam, you don't have to stretch yourself. You have a calculator there. Don't even be ashamed to punch a calculator where it's needed to be punched, and then you will know that 16 minus 9 is going to give you 7, and a positive 7. If the signs are not the same, you add and take the sign of the bigger number. That's the rule. We do talk about that rule in the part where we talk about exponents. So now if you check here, we have exactly something that looks like a quadratic equation there. So we have the value of A, we have the value of B, we have the value of C. Let's name our values there. So we have A is equals to 1, because the number attached to x squared is 1. We have our B to be minus 8. We take it with the sign. So we have our B to be minus 8. So B is minus 8. And then we have our C to be 7, positive 7. We have our C to be 7. And then that's when we go to our formula. We go to our formula, this one. I'm going to write it down. We go to our formula. And our formula is x is equals to when you're writing exam, some books, they do give you the formula some schools, they give you the formula on the back of the answer sheet. But also I think it would be easier to remember it if you can just practice to see the future. I don't know. So we have minus b. B is minus 8. Minus 8. I write it as minus 8 the way it is. B is minus 8. I take it with the sign. Plus or minus square root of b squared. Minus 8 squared. Minus 4. A is 1. 1. Where there's A. C 7. All over 2. A is 1. Now this part here, you just punch it on a calculator, but here is a trick. This thing, it has two parts, the plus and the minus. It means you're gonna have two answers. One answer will be the section where you have this part. Let me just write it. You can start with the one with the negative. All over. Oh no, now we have our values. I'm sorry. Minus 8, 1, 7, 2, 1. You can write it with this, so you can see you can start with either the negative and then you give the positive. So it's going to have two values. So the plus and minus, it does communicate there, and it does matters. So you're going to have one part, the plus and minus. You're going to have one part of the minus there, and then you're going to have one part of the plus there. So you're going to calculate them both differently. That means that when you go to your calculator there, you hit the fraction thingy. So it gives you the top part and the upper part, and then just type it as it is. Minus, open bracket, minus 8, close bracket, minus square root of, open bracket, minus 8, close bracket, squared, minus 4, open bracket, 1, close bracket, open bracket, 7, close bracket, all over 2, open bracket, 1, and then I close my bracket. Now if you see here, this thing is exactly as I've built exactly the very same thing as you see here. Let me put it here. You see, this thing is exactly I just made the very same thing inside here, but I started with the negative 1, which is this part. So when I hit an equal sign there, x is 1, just that value 1. That's my answer. So it means here x will be 1, and then to do the second part, I don't necessarily have to go back and punch. I just press this arrow. It takes me back. Look, it takes me back to the minus. Sorry, it takes me back to the minus. When I get to the minus, I just have to go to be this side. Like focus on that button that is panying there. Then we delete. Then we make it a plus now. So it's going to give us the answer of the other side. That's how smart calculators are. So when we hit an equal sign, it's 7. That means then our x is 7. So we've answered the first question. Let's move on to the next question. The next question we have, x minus 10 squared minus 48 is equals to 0. The question is solve for x, and then again we're going to use our quadratic formula to solve for x. So now let's go straight to it. This is the same as x minus 10 minus 48 is equals to 0, just like the previous question, similar. So squared means it's double like that. That's where now we are going to multiply by this by this, and then we multiply this by this again, and then we come back, we multiply this by this, and then we multiply this by this again together. So let's do that. X times x, x squared. X times minus 10, minus 10x. We're done with the green. Let's go with the red. Minus 10 times x is minus 10x. Minus 10 times minus 10, it's positive 100. Minus 48. Therefore, that should be equals to 0. Yeah, let me just, yeah. But we get the idea. It's equals to 0. Yeah, not 10, 0. Yeah. So, here we're gonna have something of this nature. So, x squared minus 10 is gonna give us minus 20x. Therefore, to simplify this, 100 minus 48 is gonna be positive 52. Otherwise, you can just see it on a calculator. You don't necessarily have to think it over or whatsoever, because like I say, Einstein said everything should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. So let's try to keep the goal of making everything as simple as possible. As you can see here, you already have your quadratic vibes. How so? One can see that here we have some sort of x squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Like these things, they're now proportionally similar. So we can get the values for us to use our quadratic equation. So here we're going to say our value of a is 1. The number attached to x squared is 1. The value of b is minus 20. The value attached to x squared is minus 20. We take it with the sign. Oh no. The value of b is minus 20. And the value of c is positive 52. Just 52. Then we go to our formula. We know now that x is equals to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Therefore, this is the same as x is equals to minus b is minus 20. B is minus 20 plus or minus square root of minus 20 squared minus 4. A is 1. C is 52. All over 2A. Now, you know the drill. This thing, the positive part, like we did say it previously, the positive part means you must do two parts. You're going to get two answers. You're going to get two answers, one for the plus, one for the minus. So here we're going to get our answer for the minus. Here we're going to get our answer for the plus. Let's plug it on our calculator. Again, we just wanna have this in our calculator. So we press the fraction thing there. Oh no, I think I might have made a mistake on the previous one, but then we're gonna rectify it now. I must press the fraction first before the fraction, I must press the square root first before the function, because everything must be inside. I think the other part I might have made a mistake and put the top part only because, oh no, I'm right, sorry. So we press the fraction thingy and then we say minus open bracket, because we just want to copy the whole thing as it is. I don't know why I'm thinking I didn't copy it as it is, because I think I'm thinking of something else. So minus the square root of minus 20 squared minus 4. A is 1, B was minus, no, C was 52 all over 2A. So as you can see there, it looks exactly as what we have here, but now on the sign part we're still on the minus, and then if we hit an equal sign there, x will be 10 minus 4 root 3, but you can get it in the standard form, that answer there, so it's like 3.07. So x would be 3.07. To move to a standard form on this calculator, just press SD here, so it's S for standard, D for decimal. So now here it's on decimal form. So to do the other part, you just scroll there, you go to the part where you must delete the minus to add the plus. Then for the plus one, we're gonna get that one in the standard form, and the decimal being roughly 16.93. So that's the answers we would get for the second one if we were to put it in standard form. And let's go to the third question. The third question is just given as it is. So we have x squared plus 14x plus 45 is equals to 0. Here we can see exactly that our a will be 1, b 14, and c is equals to 45. Now you're gonna do the calculator part yourself here, but let me just show you how we're gonna substitute it. Over to a. So if we substitute this, we have x is equals to minus 14 plus or minus square root of 14 squared minus 4. A is 1, c is 45 all over 2, 1. I would like to skip let me not skip it. Okay, from here you can use the calculator to punch in the two values, and then you're going to get the value for the positive 1 using your sign. You're going to get the value for the positive 1, and you're going to get the value for the negative 1 first and then the positive 1, like we did with the previous one. Moving on to the next question. Now I think you're starting to be more familiar with these things. You can just pause and try some of yourself before we even attempt to see how far are you getting. So the next question, to simplify this one, we just have to take this to the other side. If we take it to the other side, it will change its sign, and then it will become minus 30 is equals to 0. X squared plus 6x minus 10 minus 30 is equals to minus 40 is equals to 0. So now here we have a quadratic equation. We can just go straight, substitute our equation, and then you can do this one yourself. Just know that you have a is equals to 1, b is equals to b is equals to 6, and c is equals to minus 4. So you can just take your values there, you plug them into the quadratic equation, which you can just recopy that equation somewhere, and then you substitute the values there, and then you get your values. But I'm interested in question 20 because it's a bit different, because it is, if you check the previous 4 equations, we always had the value of a to be 1. So all the previous one we've done, we found a to be always 1, and a is not 1 all the time. A could be any other number. Here we have 4x squared minus 100 is equals to 0. Yet we say a quadratic equation should be of a form ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Here, if we check, we can say our term ax squared could be this one, but then where is bx? So in situations like this, we can imagine this as something of this. Our bx is there, it's just that it's 0. So anything, if it's 0, we don't necessarily have to show it. So you can picture this situation to be like that. You understand? Because now here, if we want to select on this equation, then we're going to say our a is 4. Then we're going to say our b is 0. Then we're going to say our c is minus 100. Our c is minus 100. And then, which is going to make it easier for me to use the quadratic equation. So if you could have seen that question, you wouldn't have thought the value of b, right? So here we're going to have x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. X is equals to minus, my b is 0, 0. I put 0 where there's b, plus or minus square root of 0 squared minus 4, a is 4, c is minus 100, all over 2, a is 4. Therefore, you have this. You copy this into your calculator. You solve the positive part first. You solve the negative part first. You get the value. And then you solve the positive part also. You get the value. So, basically, that's how we use the quadratic formula. And I've shown you also how the quadratic come about when we complete the square. If you were to go straight into something like this and complete the square, it would give you the same answer. Hence, the reason why someone simplified the quadratic equation like this was to make it easy for students to solve quadratic equations. But then there's another video where we talk about factorization. Please subscribe, hit the like button if you feel you're gonna depend on this the content that we providing out there, because there's going to be a lot of videos that we make in all different types of mathematics, including statistics, linear algebra, financial mathematics, or anything you can think of. We have a lot of mathematics majors and all different types of modules as part of the group of Simplified. So just hit the subscribe button and hit the reminder button for the upcoming future. Otherwise, I'm Simpiwe, and this is the Simplified channel.